Hello and welcome to another session of Communication Research Methods. Yes, the course code is JMC 481. Our lecture number is 17 today. It's Qualitative Research in Social Sciences. This is what we are going to discuss today. So, welcome to the session. I'm Parvez Khan. I'm Assistant Professor in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Cohort University of Science and Technology. So, before we start our session, we'll talk about the objectives of this session first. It's a very important session, so students will be able to understand qualitative research in detail. It will enhance the students' capacity to conceptualize, design, and conduct in qualitative research. It's very important to understand how it works, what it is all about. But today we are going to mainly discuss the preliminary basics of qualitative research. We are going to go in depth in our coming lectures again because it's a huge area. We need to cover it again and obviously from a perspective of communication research as well, because this is communication research method subject, but we need to give you broad understanding of what qualitative research is. And then obviously the last one is to explore the domain of qualitative approach in understanding or approaching a problem. This is what is important. This is what research is about. And we must understand that there's a lot of fear when we talk about qualitative research. There's a lot of phobia. Many think that it can't be done. You need to have very good language. You need to have very good skills. It's true. You need good language and good skills. But it only comes with practice. It only comes with guidance. It only works effectively when you know how to approach it. It needs proper guidance. And there's no need to fear about it. I think we must simplify research. It's just going out and searching for a problem, understanding a phenomena. It's not a big deal. But what we see students normally, they get scared. So, yes, qualitative research is an interesting area. And let's start with the basics of understandings of what qualitative research is. So, how do I see qualitative research and how researchers look at it? It's basically the development of concepts which help us to understand social phenomena in natural rather than experimental settings, giving due emphasis to the meanings, experiences, and views of the participants. You can read this again and again. And the most important word that you can see here is that in natural rather than experimental settings, it's different from quantitative research, it's different from experimental sciences, what we do in laboratories. We are trying to observe a social phenomenon. It can be anything, starting from anywhere, what's happening, why people behave in a certain way, why people, what people think, what their ideology is, what kind of context is coming out of this program. So these are the things that you need to see in qualitative research. So we'll talk more about it. Qualitative research involves collecting and analyzing non-numerical data like text, video, audio to understand concepts, opinions, or experiences. It's more about these concepts, opinions, experiences, what people think, what's going in the mind. It's not just data that you need to analyze 2%, 3%, it's different. And it can be used to gather in depth insights into a problem or generate new ideas for research. You can definitely gather in-depth insights into a particular problem. You can understand. You can go into the minds, because if you're interviewing someone, you're basically going into their minds. You're trying to understand them. Similarly, if you're trying to read a newspaper and you're trying to analyze an article, you're going in depth. You're going to the context. So basically, you're gaining deeper insights into a problem. It can be an individual. It can be a text. It can be a video. It can be anything. But the most important thing is about the deep insights. And it can be used to generate new ideas for research. You can go in, you can play your part in it. So, this is what basically qualitative research is. It's basically unlike the typical numerical data, it's quite broad, it's descriptive in nature. So, this is what qualitative research is. And then we have another explanation for this is that qualitative research can provide insight which is not possible to elucidate with purely quantitative data. And secondly, a means for exploring and understanding the meaning of individual or groups ascribed to social human problems, and basically a study of human behavior and social world, as we've just discussed this in good detail. And then it helps us understand the world in which we live and why things are the way they are. It's basically an understanding of the world we are living in, why certain things are, why certain people behave a certain way, why certain reactions are there, how and why are very crucial elements to this research of qualitative research. So let's talk about the difference then. Where does the difference comes in? What makes this qualitative research different from quantitative research? What are the different elements? How you can consider? But it depends on a number of factors that you're looking forward to. For example, the major difference between quantitative and qualitative analysis is that it stems from the researcher's underlying strategies. Your strategy can define the how you're going to approach a particular problem. Then it's viewed as quantitative research is viewed as confirmatory and deductive in nature. It's confirmed, like you've already given a statement, and then you pretty much work on it to prove it. And it's deductive in nature. Qualitative research, on the other hand, is exploratory. It's inductive. Its nature is inductive, and we've already talked about inductive and deductive, but we're going to have a separate session on it, how it works in the field of communications. But obviously, you can see that it's exploratory. You just have an idea of something that you're going to explore, and then you work on the findings, and then finally give some conclusive remarks. It's a different way in quantitative research as well. So these are a little bit of differences, but we are not going to go much detail into that. We're going to talk about the importance of why and how in qualitative research, like for example, why people behave the way they do, how opinions and attitudes are formed, how people are affected by the events that go on around them, and then finally, the last one is that how and why cultures have developed, the difference between the social groups. So, if you don't understand this, you can just look at this picture. What do you get? What did you feel when you saw the free ice cream? And the respondent says that excited, a little scared, and that the interviewer asks, and why was that? Now, this is just a picture. It explains that you're talking to someone who had just had a free ice cream, but and he said that he was excited but scared as well. It shows that there is something deeper than just having an ice cream. There's something more than excitement alone. They're scared at why someone is given the ice cream. Is there any hidden agenda? That this is where the context comes into play, and this is why I believe this picture can give a very good idea of what qualitative methods can do because you're getting deeper insights. This is the important thing. These are the deeper insights into how you can go and approach a qualitative research. So we have that qualitative research is a multi-method and focus, it involving an interpretative, naturalistic approach to its subject matter. And uh, if you go further in detail, it's like it's a qualitative researcher study things, people and their thought in their natural settings, attempting to make a sense of or interpret phenomena in terms of meaning people bring to them. So, like for example, if you're trying to study a particular how people behave in a certain way, you cannot just look at them. You have to look at the cultural elements, how culture is affecting them, or the social world they're living in, how it's being affected by them. So this is how you're going to look at the different. You're trying to interpret phenomena, and you're going to look at the meanings people give to them or bring to them. For example, there are many examples that in different cultures you can have different names, and language plays a particular role. So if you are talking about something, the translations may not be helpful because the particular world, language brings a particular world to its origin. So you have to look into the context as well. So it's much more deeper. We talk about it again. So qualitative research involves the studied use and collection of a variety of empirical materials, case study, personal experience, introspective life story, interview, observational history, and interactional and visual texts that describe routine and problematic moments and meanings in individual lives. And it deploys a wide range of interconnected methods, hoping always to get a better fix on the subject matter at hand. Let's go to the methods. You can have it's a participant observation, like you can observe someone, you can observe the participants, you can have direct observation, you can observe people directly, for example, in a newsroom setting or somewhere. Then you can have unstructured or intensive interviewing, the case studies, This is how there are more ways to look at it as well. But let's talk about participant observation. The researcher literally becomes part of the observation, and the example can be that one studying the homeless people may decide to walk the streets of a given area in attempt to gain perspective and possibly subjects for future study, and they can follow them, they can observe the participant. And then there is direct observation, where the researcher observes the actual behaviors of the subjects instead of relying on what subjects say about themselves, how what they say. Previously, you can observe the participant, you can take interviews, you can know their insights, but direct observation is basically looking at them from a very different lens. The example can be of a journalist in newsroom environment without interviewing them. You actually observe what they're doing, spending the rest of the day. It's your direct observation. That's what you can do. And this is pretty interesting. You can see how interesting research can be. It's not just that you have to play with the big figures or you need to have very good statistical background for doing research. It's about the interest. If you have an interest, you'll find your way around the research. So there's nothing to be scared of when it comes to research. This is how we all grow in research. The more you study, the more methods, the more scholars you read, you've come across methodologies and how to grasp a problem. Then we have the unstructured or intensive interviewing. Obviously, you ask the open ended questions during an interview, and the details here are more important than a specific interview procedure. You can even ask the follow up questions in interviews, and it's unstructured. If you follow a structured interview, you may not get insights, but if, for example, a participant said something interesting and you want to follow up, that's where you can unstructured interviews are very effective. It's effective both in journalism and in research as well. And here lies the inductive framework through which the theory can be generated. So yes, you're looking for a theory. Obviously, if you're getting information, and if it's particularly if it's ethnographic studies or grounded study, you can even work for the theory later on as well. And then we have the case studies. You can look into what the case studies are. A particular case study may be the focus of any previously mentioned field strategies. It's important in qualitative. It's important like how you go your particular case. You follow something up. The case study is important in qualitative research, especially in areas where exceptions are being studied. An example can be that a patient may be having. The example is that a patient may be having a rare form of disease, and that has set as symptoms and potential treatments that have never been researched before. So you're studying a particular case, you're following up new developments. So that's how you can do it. This is why case studies are also very effective in this regard. So yes, case studies is another good way of going for qualitative research, and it's mainly important to look at it in terms of exceptions as well. Then we have qualitative research as a process. We've just discussed these four things: how interviews can be effective, how case studies are important, or any other ways, means, and methods. But obviously, if you look at it as a process, which is going to be our discussion in the coming days as well, we're going to focus more on this one. This is what true qualitative research is all about. If you look at qualitative research as a process, it's like the important element to look into it is its theory. It consists of method and analysis, and all these three are interconnected to define the qualitative research process. So obviously, if you are looking for a research, for example, if you are trying to study some phenomena regarding social media, why people behave in a certain way, or why people are inclined towards online shopping. So even you can look at the users in gratification or any other theory that you can use it, like what's prompting them. Then it's a method. Which method you'll use, obviously how you're going to approach it, that's very important. What tools you will use, and then obviously the analysis you need to explain in the light of theory. Now, the problem with we've already discussed in classes, and sometimes we see that there's absence of theory in researchers, particularly even in the higher classes. Many students believe that they have collected data, they've explained something, but there's no theory in the research. Now, remember, it's very important because we are in social sciences. We've already discussed that a theory gives clarity, it gives validity to your research, and without a lens, it's basically a lens that you use to explain your data. So, if there's no theory in a research, how can you explain your analysis? Because it's based on someone's work, it's based on some scholarly work. You need to explain that, and theories are something tested. I mean, obviously, uh, it's a set of tested assumptions made by big scholars. So it gives strength. So we are, remember, once again, before ending this session, that we are in social sciences. We cannot prove our research like the ones in the natural sciences, like in terms of experiments, like in terms of formulas or something like that. But obviously, we are in the social sciences. We need to back our arguments through theorists, through theories, and that's important. That's why I always suggest you to read scholars. For example, if you are going to apply Gramsci, or if you're going to apply Foucault, or for example, these are big names, but obviously you can go for anyone. You need to study their work before, in which context they used it, their background, their domain, their ideology. That's very important because that's what brings with theory. But for bachelor's level, all I can say to you is that since this is BS research, it's important to read different theories that you can apply to your study, that thing that's relevant, which you think can be used for. So it's important to read theorists and theories, and it will be a very good start if you start reading mass communication theories all around. It will be very helpful. It will give strength to your research. So I just spoke a lot on this slide because this is the point that most of our students make serious mistakes. That we get researches, and if there are no theory, obviously it means that there's no validity to your research. So focus on that always. Always find a good theory, a good method, and your analysis will always gain strength. So this is just to give a start again. We have had some very good sessions. The previous sessions were very interesting, but they were in person. We were solving problems, discussing it. But yes, again, once again, we are looking into this again. So I hope that the previous sessions, the discussions of the characteristics of science and epistemology and paradigms. I hope that they will be helpful for you to understand what we're talking about today. So, this is pretty much it. We are going to talk about it in the coming sessions. I hope you enjoyed the session. Keep in touch. My next session will be uploaded soon as well. So, till then, have a very good day.